Okay, good morning, grade 8s. Today we are skipping past 6.2, moving on to 6.3, multiplying proper fractions. So you should have your chapter 6 fraction operation booklet out. The front page looks like this. And we're going to flip through past what we've already done in 6.1, skipping over 6.2, and moving on to 6.3, multiplying proper fractions. So for your learning objectives, you should be able to multiply two proper fractions. We're moving on from multiplying a mixed number to a fraction to two proper fractions. You should be able to solve problems involving multiplication of two proper fractions. So to warm up, I'll have you discuss. We have a two-toed sloth sleeps for 20 hours each day. A chimpanzee sleeps half that much. A horse sleeps half as much as a chimpanzee. In a day, how long does a horse sleep? What fraction of time does the horse sleep compared to the two-toed sloth? So I'll have you pause the video and discuss. How much does a horse sleep compared to a sloth? All right, so we can solve this by multiplying a whole number by a fraction. So if I look at a two-toed sloth sleeps for 20 hours, a chimp sleeps half that much. 20 times 1/2 is equal to 20 over 2, or 10. Now I have another whole number. 10 times 1/2 equals 10 over 2, or 5. Now, a horse only sleeps 5 hours compared to a sloth that sleeps 20. Or I can simplify my fraction. A horse sleeps 1/4 as much, a horse sleeps 1/4 as much as a sloth. So a sloth sleeps 20 hours, a horse sleeps 5. That is 1/4 of the time of a sloth. But how do we find a fraction of a fraction? We did whole numbers that time, but we could find a fraction of a number using a different method. So we're going to move on to the explore here down below. So using the fraction models below, let's determine what 1/2 of 2/3 is. To find 1/2 of 2/3, I can't just divide that yet. So I'm going to draw out what 2/3 would look like. So I'll shade it really nice. I have 1/3 and 2/3. Now I want to determine what 1/2 of 2/3 looks like, but right now I can't divide the 2/3 by themselves. So in order to split this in half evenly, I need to make it smaller. So we need to split each section in half. So I'm going to take my 2/3 and turn it into okay, so like I said, I cannot split my 2/3 into halves, but I can split each individual third in half. So maybe I'll show a different color. I separate this into half, this in half, this in half. Now I've changed my fraction. I've changed how many parts out of a whole. So 2/3, I can now represent this as 2. So now I have this out of 6. And so I have 4 pieces here for 2/3. If I cut that in half, now I can see 1/2 of what is shaded in would be 2/6. Or I can see, that 2/3 times 1/2 is going to equal 2/6. What do you notice when we're timesing a proper fraction by a proper fraction? We're multiplying straight across. We multiply the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So for this example, can you think of a rule that we can use to multiply two fractions together? Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. That's all we're doing when we're multiplying fractions, proper fractions. And then we should reduce if possible. So I'm going to go back, and both my numerator and denominator are divisible by 2 equals 1/3. So that makes sense because half of 2/3, 1/3 equals 0.33. 2/3 equals 0.66. So 33 is half of 66. So 1/3 is half of 2/3. Moving on to the next page. Reviewing multiplying fractions by whole numbers. Remember I said essentially what it means is you're only multiplying the numerator by the whole number. So 4 times 2/5 equals 8/5. For 8/15, 8 times 1/15, 8/15 does not change. And essentially, the reason why we can multiply the numerator by the whole number only is because any whole number I could write as a fraction as the number over 1, because 3 divided by 1 equals 3. 3 is the same as 3/1. So if I multiplied straight across, 3 times 5 equals 15. 1 times 6 equals 6. The denominator is never going to change with the whole number because I'm multiplying it by 1. And lastly, I have 1/3 times 7. 1 times 7 equals 7/3. And we'll leave those as improper for that problem. When multiplying proper fractions, we multiply straight across. Multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So 4 times 2, 8. 5 times 3, 15. 8 times 1, 8. 15 times 2, 30. And now this one we could simplify. As we can divide them both by 2, they're even numbers, to get 4/15. 3/4 times 5/6. We're going to multiply 3 times 5. Again is 15. 4 times 6, 24. And lastly, 1/3 times 2/5. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 5, 15. So if you know your basic multiplication facts, multiplying proper fractions should be pretty easy. And now what about example number 3, multiplying mixed numbers and fractions? Now I have, with the mixed number, I'm not sure how I multiply straight across. So I'm going to change it to an improper fraction, and then I don't have to worry about it. So Changing 4 and 2/3 to an improper fraction, going to multiply the denominator. Keep the denominator the same, multiply by the denominator. 4 times 3 is 12. And then I'm going to add 2. 14 over 3. Now I have 14 over 3 times 1 over 4. This is going to give me 14 times 1 is 14. 3 times 4 is 12. I need to remember to reduce if possible. Find the lowest. Find it in simplest form. Reduce if possible. Make sure we remember. So 14 over 12. 14 and 12 are both even numbers. They can be divided by 2 to get 7 over 6. Or if I needed to put it back into a mixed number, it would be 6 goes into 7 one time. My remainder is 1, 1 and 1/6. Okay. Now I have 3/8 times 2 and 1/5. I need to convert to an improper, so I'm going to keep this one the same. 3/8 times 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1. 11 over 5. And now I have 3 times 11 is going to equal 33. 8 times 5, 40. See, I need to convert both to improper fractions. So I have 1 times 6 plus 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 over 6. Times 3 times 7, 21. Plus 3. 24 over 7. And that's going to give me 7 times 24 is 168. 6 times 7, 42. 168 over 42. How can I reduce these? Well, I can divide them by 2. Look and see if I can divide by a larger number. They're both even numbers. Or I can look at how many times does 42 go into 168. And it's 4. So this is actually a whole number. 168 divided by 42 equals 4. Final answer. So that's where we need to simplify. And our last question, 2 and 2/5 times 1 and 3 over 4. Please pause at any time if you need to catch up. I'm going to keep this over 5, but change to an improper. So 2 times 5 is 10. 2 plus 10, 12 over 5. Times 1 times 4 is 4. 3 plus 4, 7 over 4. 12 times 7 is going to give me 84. 5 times 4, 20. 84 over 20, I can reduce. They're both divisible by 4. Equals 21 over 5. Okay, so that was a speed round on how to multiply proper fractions and mixed numbers. But basically, you want to convert to improper, and then you multiply straight across, numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. And I'm trying to go through this pretty quickly, and we'll work on it in more depth tomorrow. And lastly, you will be asked to do some problem solving with multiplying proper fractions. So, at the age of 4, the average person is about 3/5 as tall as they will be as an adult. At birth, the average person is about half as tall as they will be at the age of 4. For the average person, what fraction is their height at birth of their height as an adult? So we know that the average person is 3/5 as tall as they will be as an adult when they are 4 years old. And the average person is half as tall as they will be at the age of 4 when they're born. So using these two fractions, I can do some calculations to figure out for the average person what fraction is their height at birth of their height as an adult. So I'm 3/5 as tall as I will be as an adult at 4, and at birth, I'm 1/2 as tall as I will be when I am 4. So 3/5 times 1/2. So 3/5 as tall is what I'm going to be at age 4, 1/2 as tall as I will be at 4. That's kind of confusing. But at age 4, you are 3/5 as tall as an adult. I don't know how tall I am at 4 years old, but I know when I'm 4, I'll be 1/2 as tall as I will be at age 4. So 3/5 is kind of my first variable. I don't know the exact height. And then 1/2 of that height at age 4 is what I am when I am first born. So I don't have exact numbers here, but I can represent it as a fraction. When I am first born, I am half as tall as I am at 4. So when I am first born, 3 times 1 equals 3. 5 times 2 equals 10. That's the easy part. I will be 3/10 the height of an adult as I am when I am first born, because I know I'm half of what I'm supposed to be at age 4. So they will be 3/10 their height as an adult. And maybe we can go over that question in person because that's hard to phrase. Yeah, and this might be a good place to pause the video and discuss. But before you do, your homework assignment for today will be these assigned problems on the bottom of your note page. So we will save our pink booklet for tomorrow because I have a lot of your pink booklets at home. And you are working on questions 4 to 8 of your textbook, 12, 15, and 16. If you finish early, you can work on missing assignments, or you can work on the fraction tarsias you are working on in partners. And that's it for today.